for 13.9, you have to fill in the missing figures in our production cost statement as well as the income statement. So they say that the factory makes ice lollies that they sell at 3 rand each during the year ended the 28th of February 20.20. 20.8. They manufactured 120 ice lollies, 1,000 ice lollies, and there was no stock on hand at the beginning or the end of the year. And then they say complete the production cost statement and the income statement. So now remember, they're giving you per unit and they're giving you the total amount in rands. So we are just going to be working back and forth, starting with our income statement. So how do they gave me the per unit, and I'm going to multiply it by the number of units that I have manufactured for the year, which is 120,000, in order to get this amount over here. All right. And then they said that we sold 120 ice lollies at 3 rand each. So that is going to be 120,000 times 3 rand in order to get the total amount of sales. And obviously to get the unit, I'm going to take that sales amount and I'm going to divide it by 120 in order to get my per unit. Once we have those figures, we can say sales minus cost of sales to give us our gross profit. Alright, once you have your gross profit, you can obviously divide it by 120 to get the per unit, but you can also work forward by saying the per unit sales amount, subtract the per unit cost of sales if it's easier for you. Then your other costs, just take this out. The other cost includes the selling and distribution cost and your admin cost. So they've given you your selling and distribution per unit, which is 30 cents, and you're going to multiply that by the number of goods that you manufactured, ice lollies, in order to get your total amount over there. How do I get my net profit? I'm going to take the 75,000 times the 120 in order to get the total amount over there. And now we are left with how do we get this little figure over here? So now remember, what you're going to do is you are going to be working back. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to take your gross profit over here, which would have obviously worked out, and you are going to subtract the net profit per unit in order to get the other costs. Once you have the other cost amount, you can take that total and subtract the 30 cents in order to get your admin cost per unit. Once you have that, you will multiply it by the 120,000 in order to get the total amount over here. Alright, if you have any problems, remember you can WhatsApp me at any point in order to ask me any question. Alright, so once you are done with your income statement, you can move on to your your production cost statement. Again, you are working with what you have. So they told us that we've got the 80, and I'm going to multiply it by the number of units we produced in order to get the total amount again. We've got the 24,000. I'm going to divide it by the number of units produced in order to get the per unit amount. Right. Then we also have the amount, because you'd have worked out your income statement. You can then take your cost of sales which you had over here. How did you get it? You took the 130 and you multiplied it by 120,000. Remember, your cost of sales over here will be the total amount that you have in your cost of production of finished goods. So that amount will simply be brought up to this point, which would make your cost of production of finished goods per unit 130. All right. Then you basically working back. There was no work in progress in the beginning, in the end. There was no work in progress in the beginning, which will make your total manufacturing cost the same as the cost of production of finished goods. Once you have this figure over here, you can then work back in order to get your direct material cost amount. Alright, so let's see if we got it. You'll take your total manufacturing cost, subtract your factory overhead, subtract the 24,000 Rand, which would give you your total amount for your direct material costs. Once you have your direct material and your direct labor cost, then you can work out the direct cost, or known as your prime cost, also known as your prime cost. And how do you get your per unit? You're going to divide it by the number of goods produced, which was the 120 ice lollies. Alright, then for 13.10, you are going to be looking at the production cost statement. They say that Ground Leather makes men's belts. They sell for 80 Rand each. The selling price has not changed over the 2 years, and then the following figures have been given to you for the 2 years ended. So this is what you're going to be looking at to answer the questions provided. Give 2 reasons why the direct material cost has decreased. So I go to direct material cost. 2007 it was 12 Rand. Now it is 10 Rand. So basically the type of answers I'm looking for is they may have used a cheaper quality material. They may have found a cheaper supplier. They may have found a supplier that was closer, so their carriage on purchases were less this time around. So those are the type of answers that I am looking for. All right. Give 2 reasons why the direct labor cost has increased. Maybe they got another employee, another direct laborer to work for them. Maybe they worked extra hours and so forth. All right. And please answer the next questions for this activity. Thank you, Matrix.